everyone, welcome to our first podcast episode. I am Michelle,
I'm Joy.
and today we will be talking about the death penalty. For the people who don't know, the death penalty, also known as capital punishment, is the legal process by which a person is sentenced to death as a punishment for a serious crime. It is the ultimate penalty imposed by the state, resulting in the intentional and lawful killing of an individual.
And to add on to that, these serious crimes can range from rape, murder to terrorism, etc.
Yeah, and the use of the death penalty dates back to thousands of years with various forms of execution practiced across different civilizations. Over 100 countries have abolished the death penalty either in law or practice, while others continue to retain it. The methods of execution have evolved, with lethal injection being the most common method in many countries.
So as of now in America, the death penalty is still active or like in use in 27 states.
So, as for death penalty, there are many debates as to whether death penalty is ethical or not. But for the people who support it, they claim that the fear of facing capital punishment will discourage potential offenders and prevent them from committing serious offenses, thereby protecting society.
And they also argue that the death penalty can provide closure for like the families of the victims, since they know for a fact that they can't strike again. And this might sound kind of cruel, but it also helps with overpopulation, so like population control. And it also, like as I said before, it prevents criminals from striking again since they're dead.
Yeah, many people say that the offender should face proportional consequences for their actions, and the severity of the punishment should match the gravity of the crime committed. However, according to the Death Penalty Information Center, states in the United States that have abolished the death penalty often have lower murder rates than states that retain it. The Death Penalty Information Center also reports that there is no credible evidence to support the claim that the death penalty provides greater public safety than alternative forms of punishment, such as life imprisonment without parole. And the majority of experts in criminology and law enforcement do not view the death penalty as a significant factor in reducing crime rates or enhancing public safety.
On the other hand, people argue that it can be seen as immoral and cruel since the government is taking a life away. And it can also be seen as a form of revenge rather than justice, since, like the popular saying, an eye for an eye. However, in this situation, an eye for an eye can just make the whole world go blind. And killing someone just because they killed another person doesn't really help anything. Like it can provide closure for the family. However, it also takes the life of another away.
Yeah, and to add on to that, the death penalty diverts significant resources from the criminal justice system. The costs associated with the death penalty trials, appeals, and maintaining death row facilities contribute to the overall financial burden of the criminal justice system. These resources could instead be allocated to addressing the root causes of crime, improving rehabilitation programs, and reducing the overall prison population. Alternatives for the death penalty include life imprisonment without parole. This alternative ensures that individuals convicted of serious crimes are held accountable for their actions while avoiding the irreversibility and risks associated with the death penalty. Countries like Canada, Australia, and many European nations have abolished the death penalty and rely on life imprisonment without parole as the maximum punishment.
However, this solution can also lead to mass incarceration or jail overpopulation. So, a case that exemplifies why the death penalty may not be the best choice of punishment is the Carlos de Luna case, which received its own Netflix documentary called The Phantom. And in this case, de Luna wasn't proven to be innocent. However, there weren't enough proof to prove him guilty either. However, he received the death penalty in 1989 by lethal injection in Texas. So basically, what went down in this story was that Wanda Lopez, who is 24, was murdered on February 4th, 1983. And when she was found, there were several stab wounds on her body, and her last words to 911 was, "You want it? I'll give it to you. I'll give it to you. I'm not going to do nothing to you, please." And in 2012, this case was reinvestigated. So originally, Carlos de Luna, Carlos de Luna was charged and executed, but in 2012, there was another suspect that popped up, which turned out to be Carlos Hernandez. And this person confessed to 5 people, and there were way more evidence surrounding him than De Luna. So, on the day of the crime, DeLuna was found hiding under a truck, which was very suspicious to police, and he didn't have a shirt on and he didn't have shoes. However, no blood was found on him, so that was a key point since the scene of the crime was very gruesome and there was blood everywhere and stab wounds. However, he was clean. And the witnesses in the story is Kevin Baker, and he said that the suspect had a beard. However, the other suspect, George Aguirre, said that the suspect was shaved. And both of the witnesses said that they saw the attacker struggling while attacking Lopez. So the fact that DeLuna didn't have any blood on him was a little bit suspicious. So the full story, according to DeLuna, was that he was hanging out with his sisters, and then Carlos Hernandez approached him, and he realized that they were actually childhood friends. So they went to Wolfie's, and Carlos De Luna went into Wolfie's first, but Hernandez said that he needed to get something from the Shamrock gas station. And when De Luna came out after waiting for a long time, he witnessed Hernandez attacking Wanda, and so he was scared because the police was called. So he allegedly climbed over a wall and his shirt was ripped. And he committed a few crimes before this also. So he had two attempted rapes, and the police found him guilty of murder, so he was sentenced to death. And there were many mixed reactions about this story since Carlos de Luna, no one knows to this day if he's innocent or guilty. Even if he was at the scene of the crime, he could be considered innocent, and the real murderer is still out there. And this case is truly devastating since if De Luna were to be innocent, then the government would have had murdered or executed an innocent person. And this just shows how the death penalty isn't really um an ethical way of punishment.
Yeah, so with the things we just went over in mind, I might repeat some stuff, but I feel like when we delve into the topic of the death penalty, it's essential to consider not just the moral and ethical aspects, but also the practical implications it has on our society. Like, one often overlooked aspect is the significant financial burden it places on our already strained prison budgets, like maintaining death row with its specialized facilities, heightened security measures, and prolonged legal processes. It consumes substantial resources that could be better used by addressing the root causes of crimes, improving prison conditions, and providing education and rehabilitation programs. And I also feel like taking another person's life in the name of justice doesn't truly address the underlying issues or bring back the lives lost. It perpetuates a cycle of violence and vengeance, which doesn't really offer any um real solace to the victims' families. So I feel like instead, people should face the consequences of their actions through life imprisonment. Like incarceration allows them the opportunity to reflect, confront the gravity of their wrongdoings, and seek redemption. And I feel like by denying them the escape of death, they can experience the weight of their actions and genuinely understand the magnitude of their crimes in prison. I feel like it's important to recognize that true justice goes beyond just mere punishment. I feel like it should entail an opportunity for growth, rehabilitation, and potential for change. Like by granting an individual for the chance to suffer the consequences of their actions and offering them a chance for self-reflection, we prioritize a system that values the inherent dignity and worth of every human being, even those who committed the most heinous crimes. I feel like through this approach, we can promote a more humane and compassionate society. So I think that we as in society should challenge the notion that taking a life is the only way to achieve justice. Instead, let's advocate for a system that focuses on rehabilitation, reformation, and second chances. By redirecting our resources towards educational programs, mental health support, and initiatives aimed at addressing the root causes of crimes, we can create a safer and more equitable society.
Yeah, and personally, I definitely believe that the death penalty should not be a thing, although it can be helpful, like preventing overpopulation and mass incarceration. But overall, I just think it's really immoral. Like, I don't think like someone's life should be taken away because of like adding on to the eye for an eye thing. Like, an eye for an eye can just make the whole world go blind. And I feel like if they commit like a really serious crime, they should just like serve their sentence forever and just, this is kind of cruel, but almost like suffer in jail rather than just getting away by death. I strongly believe that they should just um repent for their mistakes forever in jail. I feel like that's way more impactful than just getting away with like death and stuff. And to add on, I also believe that the death penalty is like something that we really need to be careful with if it were to exist. Even though it's already like people are already careful with it, but it's really easy to misunderstand and execute an innocent person. Like, once they're dead, there's no going back. And with the case that I previously mentioned, Carlos de Luna, once he was executed, the case was reopened, and there were more evidence that surfaced that surrounded Carlos Hernandez, and he was proven to be more guilty than de Luna, who was already executed. And this just shows how like how the death penalty is undoable. It's like once a person is murdered, there's no going back, and yeah, no one would truly know what went down. And I would also like to add on as to why I believe that the death penalty should not be a thing. Um, so say a person is executed by law, they receive the death penalty. Their deaths would most likely be publicized as well as monetized by news networks like CNN or even small commentary channels or like true crime channels on YouTube. As a result of someone's death, they will be making money, which I believe is morally incorrect and just unethical because at the cost of someone's death, someone else is making money. Like, I don't think this should happen. I don't think money should be made off of someone's death, even if they were like a horrific, vicious criminal or murderer.
As we come to the end of this episode, it's clear that death penalty is a multifaceted issue that demands careful consideration. We have explored the flaws and concerns associated with capital punishment, from the risk of executing innocent individuals to the disparities in its application and the financial strain it places on our prison budgets. We have also highlighted the alternative approaches that prioritize restorative justice, rehabilitation, and addressing the root causes of crime. It is time to reimagine our concept of justice and embrace a more compassionate and transformative approach. Let's remember that true justice encompasses more than just retribution. It involves healing, growth, and redemption. By investing in education, mental health support, and community-based programs, we can create an environment where individuals have the opportunity to rehabilitate themselves and reintegrate into society. The path to a more just society lies in our ability to address the systemic issues that contribute to crimes and provide support and opportunities for those who have made mistakes to rebuild their lives. As we move forward, let's continue these conversations, challenge existing beliefs, and advocate for reforms within our criminal justice system. Together, we can work towards a future where compassion and rehabilitation takes precedence over vengeance and where every life is valued.